This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 19th day of October in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Guyana may be facing a tougher battle in the fight against mental illness with the current state of the coronavirus pandemic in the country. That is the warning of the Health Minister, Dr. Frank Anthony. Speaking during a virtual training session for frontline workers, the Health Minister focused on mental health awareness during the COVID-19 pandemic. He said issues related to mental health have been ignored in Guyana for too long, and the pandemic is currently throwing new light on the issues. Dr. Anthony also said persons are even finding it more difficult to talk about mental health issues during this time. The virtual training program for healthcare workers has been organized by the Mental Health and Psychological Unit of the Ministry of Health. It is aimed at equipping frontline workers with the knowledge and tools needed to cope with stress on the job, and how to also detect persons who may be facing similar mental health issues. More news coming up in a moment. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc.
For all the Zoom hashouts and recipe tryouts, the world changed and we were right there, standing with you, always near, getting closer in so many ways, laughing together as we face these days. And because we are Caribbean, we've got a special insight that tells us there's no need to worry, world. We'll be all right.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class or religion.
We
are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobile Special and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Welcome back. A total of 32 coronavirus-related deaths have already been recorded since the start of October, and the majority of persons who died were patients in the COVID-19 ICU at the Georgetown Hospital. The Health Ministry is still not providing details on the deaths, other than the age of the persons and the region where they lived. 3 deaths were recorded today, pushing the total to 114, and there are still more than 10 persons in the COVID-19 intensive care unit. The 3 latest fatalities are all women between the ages of 60 and 75, and they're all from the Region 4 area. On Sunday, 2 deaths were also recorded. The Ministry of Health today indicated that the number of new infections in the country continues to climb. A total of 31 new cases were recorded in the past day from more than 250 completed tests. Citizens are being reminded once again to wear their face masks, sanitize, and keep their distance from others while out in the public. The Ministry of Housing's two-day event for the distribution of land titles and the acceptance of new house lot applications saw more than 600 first-time applications being made for house lots. The new applications add to the more than 30,000 applications already on file in the housing system. Colin Kroll has assured that the new applicants and those who have been waiting on their allocations for years that once the name is in the system, they remain eligible for a house lot and will therefore be granted one when the allocations begin. The The minister said while this past weekend's initiative did not really cater for persons who already have applications in the system, he is encouraging those persons to update the information that they provided to the ministry when they first made their applications. They could do so by visiting the ministry's head office in Brickdam or the regional offices on any weekday.
I want to also use the opportunity to ask persons who are in our database to ensure that if you have change of information, and this is very important because sometimes persons change their telephone numbers. And in fact, as I lead up to the distribution of the titles, we had to publish the names of a number of persons for whom, for one reason or the other, they changed their telephone number, their contact. And so we had to go via that method to ask them to contact us. So we want to ask you, the eligible applicants, to use that opportunity of updating your information. Remember that the services that are provided at the ministry and our regional offices continue.
Minister Kroll also explained that efforts are also on the way to strengthen the regional offices.
We are going to place emphasis on improving the services that are provided at our regional offices, and that is to strengthen them so that much more responses, quick responses can be provided and delivery of services. I know that in Region 5 and 6, especially now that we have looked at Region 2 and 3, there are a number of persons who have completed their transactions for which they too are looking forward for their titles and transports. Region 5 and 6, I can assure you that in a few weeks we will be conducting a similar exercise for those two regions.
Thousands of persons flocked the Housing Ministry's event at the National Stadium over the weekend, seeking information on house lot applications. The government is hoping to partner with the banking sector to make housing more affordable and loans easier and accessible. With the state-owned sugar company Guyana continuing to flood its lands at Success to get squatters off, the government has moved to set up sleeping facilities at an East Coast primary school to house squatters who have been displaced. Many of the squatters have rejected the offer made by Prime Minister Mark Phillips for them to be housed in the Graham's Hall Primary School. The Civil Defense Commission has already set up the auditorium and some classrooms at the school in the sort of a refugee shelter. Many of the squatters have found themselves moving to higher ground because of the almost daily flooding of the lands by Guyana, which wants the lands to restart sugarcane cultivation. The government continues to come under widespread criticism over that move. Just last week, one of the board members at the government's holding company, NISIL, resigned over the treatment of the squatters. The opposition has accused the government's actions as callous, saying there must be some negotiation with the squatters and the provision of suitable accommodation and housing for them.
The hollow and heartless call of President Irfan Ali for persons to, and I quote, do the right thing, saying that to citizens at what I call a COVID fest at the stadium. While he was doing this, the agents of the state were flooding Guyanese out in an unconscionable and heartless manner. The bulk of these persons are Guyanese who are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Many have lost their livelihood and income. Many of them have been evicted as a result of their inability to pay rent. So where is the heart in all of this? Where is the heart? PPP regime.
The president has said the squatters at Success need to learn to start doing things the right way. 6 weeks after the murders of teenage cousins Joel and Isaiah Henry and Harris Singh, details of the police probe remain sketchy. There have been no charges filed, and the suspects who were initially held for the murder of the Henry cousins have since been released. Today, opposition leader Joe Harmon expressed concern about the lack of information from the police and the Home Affairs Ministry and its Minister Robeson Ben on the three murders. He said the absence of regular updates is also worrying for the families.
We note the absence of public information into the investigation of the murder of Isaiah and Joel Henry and Harry Singh. We are in receipt of information that investigators which were brought in from the regional security system that were meant to assist in the investigation have expressed some levels of frustration in the cooperation which they received from the police and the timely release of information by senior ranks of the Criminal Investigation Department.
Mr. Harmon said it now appears as though there is no urgency in solving the murders and ensuring justice for the families.
The APNU AFC calls for an urgent update from the Minister of Home Affairs on these matters and for a regular public update on them until justice is served.
The latest information coming out of the Guyana Police Force under probe is that new leads are being followed. There have been no updates on the outcome of the probe by the regional security system, and updates have also not emerged about the pieces of evidence that were sent to St. Lucia for additional testing. The mutilated bodies of Joel and Isaiah Henry were found in the Cotton Tree Back Dam on the west coast of Berbice back in early September. Days later, the body of Harry Singh was found in the No. 3 Village Back Dam. One of his relatives was being questioned about the murder of the Henry cousins. The murder of the three teenagers led to national outrage and calls for a full and complete investigation. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Senior Counsel Shalimar Alihak, has decided to withdraw the charge of larceny, which Attorney General Anil Nandlal was facing in the courts over the alleged theft of law books belonging to the state. When the matter was called in court for hearing, the magistrate informed the court that the matter has now been withdrawn by the DPP. No reason was given for the DPP's decision. Nandlal was charged back in 2017 over the disappearance of the law books from the Attorney General's chambers when he left office in 2015. He had always claimed that the books, which were purchased by the government and worth over $2 million, were a gift to him and formed part of his contractual agreement to serve in the position. However, after the magistrate threw out a no-case submission by his attorneys and called on him to lead a defense, Nandlal moved to the High Court and then the Appeal Court to block the case from moving forward. Both of those courts refused to get involved. The Director of Public Prosecutions also stayed away from getting involved in the matter over the past 3 years. But now, with Nandlal back in office as Attorney General, the DPP has flipped the script on her earlier position and has now discontinued the charges. The matter was investigated by the Special Organized Crime Unit of the Guyana Police Force. On the police blotter, months after an attempt was made on his life, a Kitty man was shot dead in Sophia on Saturday night by 2 gunmen. 27-year-old Sion London, also known as Gaza, was sitting with a friend outside a yard in Seafield, Sophia, when the 2 gunmen, both armed with handguns, appeared and started shooting at him. His friend quickly dived to the ground while London's body was riddled with bullets. He was rushed to the Georgetown Hospital, where doctors pronounced him dead on arrival. The man was in the area with his girlfriend to visit a friend when the shooting occurred. The girlfriend was not around at the time of the shooting incident. Police investigators believe the 2 suspects are from the same Sophia community, and they have so far identified one of them as a resident of Defield, Sophia. One of the same suspects, now wanted for the murder, had reportedly opened fire on London back in May. He was hospitalized for several weeks after being shot 4 times to the body. 2 suspects were also involved in that shooting. One of the men was charged and has been in prison awaiting trial since then. The other one has remained across the region is coming up next. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global Technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how global technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Been through it all.
But as a people, we have
Weathered every storm.
And risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
That gives it its strength.
all the people,
Regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are
one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, has issued a warning to the persons who he believes are behind the main opposition, New Democratic Party's campaign. Gonsalves stated that if those persons ever go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, they will not leave. The Prime Minister on Saturday restated his claim that supporters of citizenship by investment are financing the main opposition NDP's campaign and are also using language that could be seen as threatening. He noted that former Prime Minister and the founder of the NDP, Sir James Mitchell, said that the November 5 elections in St. Vincent is for the soul of the country, and he agrees. Gonsalves' Unity Labour Party is making a bid for a 5th consecutive term, while Friday is leading the NDP into election for the first time. The Trinidad-based Caribbean Public Health Agency has announced that it has been able to assist several member countries with the more than $2 million down payment needed to be able to equitably gain access to a safe and effective coronavirus vaccine through the Vaccines Global Access Facility. The facility provides an opportunity for the World Health Organization member states to benefit from a portfolio of vaccine candidates using a range of technology platforms produced by manufacturers across the world. Countries participating in the facility will have access to doses of the vaccine as a result of the advanced purchase commitments that the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations provides. As doses become available, they will be allocated to all participating member states in accordance with the agreed terms and conditions. And finally tonight, international news. Russian hackers targeted this year's Olympic Games in Tokyo with the aim of disrupting the Games. The Foreign Office of the UK said Russia's GRU military intelligence carried out cyber reconnaissance against officials and organizations involved. The alleged attacks took place before the Games were postponed until 2021 because of the coronavirus pandemic. Officials did not, however, specify the nature or extent of the cyber attacks in detail. At the same time, the U.S. Department of Justice has announced charges against 6 Russian GRU officers for alleged cyber attacks serving the strategic benefit of Russia. The group sought to disrupt the 2018 Winter Olympics, the 2017 French presidential election, and Ukraine's power grid, U.S. prosecutors have said. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.